Copyright disclaimer under the Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
So you, David Wood, believe that God, Jesus, allowed that if a person beats their slave, and as long as his beating is severe enough that he dies a day later, you cannot punish the man because a human being is another human's property that he can kill, just letting him live a day.
A couple issues.
Go ahead.
Couple issues. One, the position of Christians, according to the New Testament, is that that God did allow things in the past that He didn't approve of, they didn't think are good, but because of the hardness of our hearts, He allowed us to do them. Right?
Wow, this is amazing. Can you say that?
It's basic.
This is
Jesus is asked about divorce. Can you divorce your wife for any reason? He said, and they asked, well, in the law of Moses, you're allowed to give your wife a notice of divorce, and you can just divorce her.
Gotcha.
Jesus said, God allowed you to do that because of the hardness of your hearts, but that's not what He wants. He doesn't want.
Gotcha.
He doesn't want that situation. So that's one. As far as this is a series of commands that are talking about capital punishment, which we also have now. Right? We have capital punishment. Do you guys have that in California still?
No, I don't think so. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Certain states have capital punishment.
Texas does.
Right? Certain states have capital punishment, meaning if you commit capital murder, that's a death penalty. But there are lesser versions. There's second-degree murder, there's manslaughter, and things like that. What this is talking about, a man kills his slave, a man beats his slave, right?
Male or female?
They're talking about the presumption of intent. Intent, right?
What's the intent here?
That's what they're talking about, right? They're going to presume, for this case of capital punishment, whether you sentence a man to death or murder, if you beat your slave and you just beat him to death.
Yeah, like this.
Just beat him to death. He wasn't beaten to death.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's worse than this then.
So they would not.
This is just a side point. This picture right here. This picture was used to garner support by the abolitionists in 1863 for the Civil War. It was this picture here, as well as a book called Uncle Tom's Cabin. So the guy's name is only known as Gordon, and some people call him Whipped Peter as well. All right, so just a side note. Continuing.
Would not be capital punishment. They would
right. So beating worse than this because it beat him to death the next day.
If you beat him to death,
right.
If you beat him to death,
right.
They're going to presume that your intent was to murder him.
Where's that in the Bible?
I mean, it's right there. This is
where? I don't see that anywhere there. You're making this up, David. You're making this up. You see this? You guys see this? He comes and talks about.
What did I tell you? It's enough to say that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's completely dishonest. And so is David Wood. Because the fact that he just sat there and like, yeah, I agree, tells me that they don't know what the heck they're talking about. And they're calling to Christianity and they don't know what they're saying.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
See this? You guys see this? He comes and talks about the Quran.
We're about to.
No.
Where does Allah say that?
Right?
Not
yes, of course. Sure.
Where does He say that?
Sure. Listen. When we go to the Quran, we go to the scholars of Islam, we go to Hadith. We go to all of that, no problem. But when last time when I was telling you the scholarly opinion is not a fact in itself, you have to look at the evidences. You told me I'm throwing scholars under the bus. Today you're making up verses from the Bible with no contextual evidence.
No, now I'm telling
Go ahead.
you what
So where is
scholars who understand
where's the
interpret
evidence?
Jewish law,
Where is the evidence of what you're
this
saying?
This is not my position. I am not.
This is not the Bible. Not your position. The Bible is not his position.
Look at laughing here, right?
Hey, don't make fun of people, okay? If somebody wants to laugh, it's up to them.
Laughing, right?
Yeah.
You're handing out materials.
Again, you see, he can't answer it. He can't answer the Bible, so he wants to switch.
I'm trying to
David
answer.
Wood.
I'm trying to answer.
Okay,
that.
I'm listening. Go
There are a
ahead.
series of commands.
Okay.
I'll just give you. I'll just.
No, talk about this one. This particular
I'm
event.
trying
Don't try to
I'm
switch
trying
here.
to.
Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to.
Okay.
So, if you beat your slave to death,
Yes.
all right, they're going to presume that that's murder.
Okay.
Capital punishment.
Okay.
If you beat him and he gets up and walks around,
And dies later.
The presumption would be
Wow.
that you weren't trying to kill him.
Okay.
Right? No.
Okay, I'm listening.
And when it says property there, it actually says your silver. So what that passage is saying is,
It says your silver.
slaves are valuable.
It says your property.
Yeah, in this translation, in the actual Hebrew, it says it's your silver.
You see how this guy lies, man? You know, alhamdulillah, the Sheikh, he actually put the actual words in the translation here in the screen. But, I mean, these guys are used to lying. You know, these apologetic types, right? But let's say, for argument's sake, let's go back to the verse in the Bible, right? It basically says, unless he dies after a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his property. That's what the verse says, right? More or less, right? I'm just going off my memory here. Now, which makes more sense? Unless he dies after a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his property. Or unless he dies after a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his silver. You can't make this crap up, man. You're just making stuff up, man. You can't. It's like impossible to argue with people like this, because everything they're saying is just out of their imagination. You know, just pulling out meanings of words out of his butthole now.
So that's
What
interesting.
that means is, if you paid money for a slave, you bought your slave is part of your wealth.
Wow.
I don't know why you're saying wow.
That's shocking to me.
Muhammad had all kinds of slaves.
Did he buy
Black
slaves? Did he buy slaves?
Did he buy
or were
slaves?
they through war? Were they prisoners of war?
So it's okay to have slaves through war.
So listen, when you take a person out of war,
Muslims aren't allowed to buy.
Can I
They
finish?
weren't allowed to buy slaves.
Can I finish?
So if we look and we see Muhammad's companions buying slaves, you're in trouble.
Can I finish?
Sure. Go ahead.
So this thing, like you know, okay. So in Islam, you cannot take a free man and enslave him. Do you understand? There's a hadith, since you like to learn about hadith, where Allah says, hadith Qudsi, that the one who enslaves a free man, I will be his plaintiff on the day of judgment. We don't have the right to enslave people. Hadith. Right, Dave? You paying attention? Are you all right?
So Muhammad had
wait,
slaves.
can
He
I
had Anjasha,
can
he
I
had-
finish?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Right? Now, if somebody's captured through war, meaning they are a war captive, like for example, if you go to war with another country and you find people fighting you and you take them. Now, these are not considered slaves in the sense that you went to Africa and just picked up regular people and made them enslaved, right? These are people that were trying to kill you and you're taken into a captured state out of war. In Islam, you cannot have slavery in the sense of the Western world where you just take a free person, you go to Africa or you go to another continent, you just kidnap them, okay? Neither did the Prophet ﷺ nor the Sahaba.
Wait.
The
So
only
when they attacked Khaybar,
Right.
attack Khaybar,
Right.
slaughter a bunch of people, and
Sure.
take a bunch of slaves.
Okay, so it's important to understand the difference between the Islamic concept of slavery and everything else. Before Islam, slavery had already existed. Slavery has been in the world for thousands of years, as I mentioned before. The concept of slavery before Islam, there were no rules to it. After the Prophet ﷺ, he came, what you have right now is a concept of what the Sheikh is talking about. We call POW, or prisoners of war, and also you have indentured slavery. These concepts are Islamic concepts, where you don't just go kidnap people willy-nilly, as what was happening before Islam. Islam now illegalized that. The Christian concept of slavery is called chattel slavery. It's the worst form of slavery ever. And it's the worst form of slavery ever recorded in human history. That transatlantic slave trade, where not only do you own the human beings, and the human beings are your actual property, but those same human beings have zero rights of human beings. Whereas the Prophet ﷺ is saying that the slaves are your brothers. He said that. Did this concept ever exist in Christianity ever? No. And what we want you guys to understand is that when a Westerner thinks of slavery, the first thing that pops into a Westerner's mind is like Roots, that Roots concept. I don't know if you guys saw that series Roots. But that's what they think of. They think of this really wicked, horrific, brutal concept of slavery. So when you say Islam has slavery, you can't just say Islam has slavery to a Westerner, because that's what they're thinking in their head. You have to break it down. We're talking about prisoners of war. We're talking about indentured servitude. That's what we're talking about. Otherwise, they're going to think this devilish chattel slavery that was endorsed by Christianity and perpetuated by Europeans against Africans. That's the first thing that's going to pop up in their head. And then they're going to equate that to Muslims. And this is exactly what David Wood is trying to do here. So it's very important that you clarify that. You say, when you talk to non-Muslims, you say what we have is POW. You know, when you fight us and you lose, instead of just slaughtering you, you will make you slaves. Duh. Right? That's what you got to explain to people.
Sure. Khaybar was a war? No.
They were walking out to
You
the,
poor guy.
walking out to
You
the fields.
poor guy.
They're walking out to the fields.
Listen,
and Muhammad and his companions
what
swooped
happened in
down from them.
Khaybar? What was the context?
The context was the Jews are sitting there minding their own business. They're going out to the field.
So the agreement that is not right. No, you don't know the context at all. I'm shocked that David Wood is so ignorant of what happened. I'm really sorry. But you read the wrong things. You go online, you just read Islamophobe websites. You don't read books. That's the problem. Listen, I have a whole series on this. If you have the time, watch it so you can know. In Khaybar, there was a contract. Did you know this? No, you didn't know this. He didn't know this.
What's the source?
Ibn Kathir, Bidaya wa Nihaya, At-Tabari, Ibn Sa'ad, any book, Al-Maghazi, Ibn Ishaq, pick up any book. Listen,
What's the contract?
Right? There was a contract with the Jews of Medina, and this is when Rasulullah went to Medina. Everybody, kids know this, right? When you go there, if somebody from the outside would attack, you would not support them. We would defend Medina together, okay? Banu Qunayza, you know Banu Qunayza?
That's what the Jews of Medina.
Yes, Khaybar was in.
Was that a treaty with Khaybar?
You didn't know Khaybar in the context of Medina.
No, Khaybar's a different area. You think Khaybar's Medina?
Khaybar was under the precincts of Medina. You don't know where Khaybar is at?
So there's no.
Have you been to Khaybar?
They're under the same.
Have you been there?
No.
I have.
Okay.
One thing that these apologists do is they always bring up Khaybar. And they don't know what the heck they're talking about, right? As you can see here. I bring up Khaybar all the time. I bring up not necessarily Khaybar, I bring up the Treaty of Medina all the time on my channel because of my positions. And I get my positions directly from this particular sunnah. When people get angry at me, we're saying, oh, we should actually work with, different Muslims. We should actually, embrace black nationalism. We should actually work with all these different groups. Why do I say that? Because the Prophet ﷺ had this Treaty of Medina. You can't erase that. This is something in part of our history. And why do apologists always bring this up though? They always bring this up because of the slaughtering of the Jews at Khaybar. But they don't know the background information of it. Right? And that's a completely different story. Maybe one day I'll do a video on it. But inshallah, if you want more information, just check out the Shaykh. Shaykh has a series about this as well, right? You know, so, but not to mention that they accused the Prophet ﷺ of just slaughtering these Jews, and that's not even what happened, right? If you go into the history of what happened, one of those Jews converted to Islam, and when they betrayed the Muslims and they lost, they asked the Prophet ﷺ to let one of their own judge for them, and they just happened to ask the same Jew who converted to Islam, I can't remember his name, right? And he judged that they be slaughtered according to their book, according to the Torah itself. And that's why they were slaughtered. They were being judged by according to their own book, they should be slaughtered. These guys don't know about this. These apologists don't know about this, and they don't care anyways, because they have a narrative to push.
These guys never intend that. Listen.
They visit the site.
Yes, of course. Listen,
But
I didn't visit the site of a massacre of Khaybar. I visited Medina and went on a historic trip. I looked at Badr, I looked at Uhud, I looked at Khaybar, I looked at all these places to know the history, so I don't make a fool out of myself by saying that Khaybar was not under the Treaty of Medina.
The Jews of Khaybar agreed to the Treaty of Medina.
Yes.
Okay.
You know who? I just gave you four sources already.
You mentioned it, but where?
Bidayah wa Nihaya, look it up. You know Bidayah wa Nihaya?
No.
You don't know Bidayah wa Nihaya. See, but this is the problem. You act like you know about Islam, but you know. No. Look, it's Sahih.
I got Ibn Sa'd.
Okay,
So tell me where in there, and if it's not there, what in the world?
Is Sahih Sitta a book of history? And by the way, there's no such thing as Sahih Sitta, it's Kutub al-Sitta, because not all of them are Sahih, only 2 of them are Sahih. Anyway, that's
it's called Sahih Sitta, right?
It shouldn't be, that's a mistake.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
that wasn't even for you, you're not at that level. Huh?
Are we over 10 minutes yet?
We are over 10 minutes, but you haven't answered. So the question that I want to know, because you try to jump to Khaybar, and just to clarify your additional point, Khaybar, Banu Qanuza', Banu Nadir, Banu Qunayza, all of them, Qanuqa, and all of them had treaties not to help the outside invading forces. Because the people of Khaybar and Banu Qanuqa and others betrayed the treaty and sent weapons and fighters to fight against the Muslims, this is why there was an attack on Khaybar. And since you didn't know that, it tells me...
The treaty.
Yes.
And Muslims did nothing to violate the treaty.
No. Look it up. I'm surprised you don't know this already. Listen, I'll tell you what. Whoa, man, I just gave it to you like 3 times. You want to write it down, bro?
I know
your memory is leaking.
I know you say that, but like where?
What do you mean? Like, I don't know the page number offhand, but get it. Okay, I'll tell you what. Listen. I'll do you one better. If you give me your number, and I won't give it to anybody, just like I haven't with Sam, I'll send you a link, or if you want to look it up yourself, on Majdaribad site, we have a whole video that gives you each book, each reference, each page on what happened, and you can educate yourself, and then you won't look like a fool
So just
saying.
just to be clear,
Yeah.
your position is yes, Muhammad and his companions had slaves.
Yes.
But they didn't just run around taking free
Right.
people. They fought them, then took them.
They took them as captives of war. Yes.
They took them as captives of war, then
Yes.
slaves.
Yes. And then hold on. And then there are rules and regulations. One of them, you cannot beat your slave like this. You cannot kill your slave. If you kill your slave in Islam, even if he's a war captive,
beat your
listen. Let me speak, bro. You're right. If you kill your war captive, you will be held accountable. You can't just kill them without. This is not your property. You can't just kill anybody you want. I am in shock, to be honest with you,
You can't
David.
kill your slave in the Bible either.
Okay, so here,
that's a death
so this is the question, right? If this person comes and I beat him such a beating that he goes to the ER, he lives a day, and then from my beating he dies. Did I kill him or not? It's over, bro. It's over. Like Ahmad Hijab said, it's over, bro. You know it's over. You know it's over, right?
Listening. This is
answer my question. If this guy, if this guy gets beat, it's very simple, right? I beat him. He lives a day in the ER.
If you go to trial, if you go to trial,
yes,
in the United States of America,
yes.
Right? If you beat this man,
yeah, and from my beating,
around for a couple days,
no, he goes to the ER.
Is manslaughter.
Where does it say walking around?
You
are lying, bro. Come on, listen, look. It does not say walking. He just lives a day or two.
Okay.
It does not. You're making verses up. He goes to the ER, and he dies from my beating.
Dies from your beating.
That is murder in America.
No.
Oh, you don't know the law.
No, they're going to judge your intent.
Okay.
If we're out there fighting, you're fighting, and I just
no. This is not a fight. This is not a fight. It's your slave. You take a rod, male or female, and you beat them, and they live a day. So if I'm beating this man, and from my beating he goes to the ER and he just lives a day, then you're gonna say that that's not. I didn't murder him.
They're going to look at your intent.
What is? Look, listen.
Do you know that there is a crime called manslaughter? That's where you kill someone.
You know what manslaughter
but you're intending to murder him.
Manslaughter is not when you take a rod and you beat somebody so bad that they die. See, you're making this up now. You know. Okay. Let me ask David Wood. Let me ask you a simple question.
Hit you with a bat,
right?
But I'm just trying to hit you with a bat. I'm just trying to beat you.
Let's say you
die.
Okay.
That's not murder. That's manslaughter.
Listen. When you took that hammer and beat your dad, if he had died a day later, would they have charged you for murder or not?
They would have judged my intent.
You took a hammer to your father's head.
I don't know why David Wood does this, man. For those of you who don't know exactly what the Sheikh is talking about, let me show you.
If my child died, I would want to cry my eyes out. I don't think I would. Sociopaths don't form normal emotional attachments to other people. They lack empathy. When they see a person suffering, they don't feel bad over it. I was in high school biology when evolutionary theory was really laid out for us. Species develop new characteristics, new traits, and then those can actually eventually take over. And so I concluded that maybe I had reached a higher stage of humanity where I wasn't held back by emotions the way other people were. And so I came to regard all these little rules that people tell you to follow as kind of brainwashing me. Breaking into places and, breaking into the school or stealing things. I felt like I was stripping away these layers of rules that people had been imposing on me my entire life, and it was an amazing feeling. And if I really wanted to sort of be free of everything I've been brainwashed into thinking about right and wrong, and I decided to kill my dad. And I decided to do it in a brutal fashion, not a gunshot or anything. I was going to do it with a hammer. When I walked up to my dad, I had a hammer in my hand, and I hit him in the head 7 or 8 times with a ball-peen hammer until I thought he was dead, and I just left. One of his friends, Jim, found him, covered in blood, took him to a hospital, and so I went and told my mom, hey, I may have done this because I think I'm being told on at that moment. Instead of taking me to the police or anything, she took me to a psychiatric hospital. They made a report based on the time that I was there, and it said antisocial personality disorder. Eventually, Virginia had them remove me from the psychiatric hospital and take me to jail. Since my dad survived, I was convicted of malicious wounding. I was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
So no doubt, David Wood, he knows that if somebody died in a situation like this, they would be charged with murder because his own personal experience. The fact that he said that he got charged with malicious intent to cause harm because his father didn't die is implicating that if his father did die, that he would be charged with murder, the murder of his own father. And that's why his nickname is Hammer Time, by the way, because he did this to his father. But at any rate, there's another underlying issue here, and that is the issue behind his mental condition, the sociopathy and psychopathy. And we're not trying to make fun of anybody's mental illness. However, because he has this condition, these are the worst type of people you should have in the forefront talking about religious issues, because part of the nature of this condition is that you just don't have the ability to tell the truth. And he's always lying. And I believe that it's directly related to his mental state behind his psychopathy, behind his sociopathy, because that's what they do. They don't have any empathy at all, which is another lesson for Muslims. When you see somebody in front of you on YouTube or on Facebook, you don't know that person. You just don't. And when they get caught lying all the time, maybe there's a mental problem. I caught some of these liars already on my channel, like blatantly lying. I've openly called one of your favorite YouTubers a narcissist because he fits the bill of a narcissist. This guy loves himself. He's never made a mistake in his life. And I called him out on it. And you still love him. And I keep telling y'all, those people that you see in front of your screens are just actors in thobes and beards. You don't know them. You really don't know them. So it's better to make the truth above everything, above your feelings, everything. Because you do not know who is in front of your screen telling you about Allah, God, the Prophet ﷺ, or anything like this. It could be somebody just like David Wood. And what I respect David Wood for, out of all the things, the one thing I respect him for is that he was open about his psychopathy. He's a psychopath, right? He is open about that. And I respect that. Because now you have the ability to assess his statements based upon his mental condition. Are you understanding me? But a lot of your online duats, you don't have that opportunity. You can only go based upon what they actually say. And if you catch them lying, then maybe there's a problem.